So we talked about the getPass module, but now let's talk about another module called the random module. So these modules provide us with functions that are not a part of what we call the standard library. When we took a look at those built-in functions like the print function, like the input function, those are part of the Python standard library. And if we want to use those functions, we don't have to import them from anywhere. But we have a number of other libraries available to us within Python, like the datetime module. If we wanted to work with dates and time objects, we might have to leverage this datetime module. So I'd encourage you to check out the datetime module notes and the statistics module and the random module. You'll see some other ones here and notes about them. So if we want to use the datetime module, we can create some dates. But the point that I want to talk to you about here is using the random module, which you'll have to do on your assignment. So the random module is another library in Python that we have access to that will give us access to random related functions. So let's consult the docs about this. If we want to use a function from this random module, we'll consult the docs. We'll see what functions it provides, and also hopefully some examples about how to use it. So like we can look through these docs, but also let's take a look at the curated notes that I've shared with you about the random module. The first thing that we could do is just generate a random number with it, maybe using an example like this. So I'm just going to do some examples in our cheat sheet here of using the random module. So the random module provides us with a number of functions. In order to use the random module, we're going to have to import it. And the most basic way that you could do this is just import the name of the module. We know that there's 3 different ways of doing this, but the easiest thing might be just to import the name of the module. In this case, it's called random. All right, once we've imported the random module, we now have access to any function that is defined within it. So we can consult the docs, and maybe we see that there's some kind of ability to generate a random integer between some kind of lower and upper bound, I guess, or generate a random number. So we could do this kind of stuff. Let's try it out. Let's print random.random. I guess there's a function name called random. Like if we say x equals random.random. Here we're invoking a function called random provided by the module named random. And it's weird that the name of the function is also the name of the module. That happens sometimes, as you saw, which was the case with our getPass module. So if we want to generate a random number, maybe we could use the random function from the random module to do that. I ran this cell, we got 0.87. The next time we run this cell, we'll get something different. 0.25. Cool. So we're starting to use the random module. But the way that you'll need to use it for your rock, paper, scissors exercise is specifically using a function called choice. So let's take a look at how to use this random choice function now. The way that I'd like for us to end class is let's do an ice cream shop advertisement function together. In this exercise, we want to define a function called advertise. And it should print a message like come to our ice cream shop, now serving, and then it should choose one of these ice cream flavors that we've defined here in this flavors variable at random. So sometimes when we run this function, it will say, come to our ice cream shop, we're serving chocolate. But sometimes it will say, come to our ice cream shop, we're serving vanilla. So if we invoke this advertise function many times, we'll get different results. Like, hey, come get some chocolate ice cream or come get some vanilla ice cream. And so what we want to do is have this function access one of these flavors at random. Before we go wrapping this up inside a custom function, let's just see if we could print one of these flavors at random. I'm just going to bring this variable over into our cheat sheet, but we'll come back into the functions exercise to wrap this in a function and conclude class. But just to give you more examples of how to use the random module, here, if we have a list of values, in this case, a list of comma-separated strings, each representing a different flavor, the question is, how can we print one of these at random? So there's some kind of function that we could use provided by the random module that will help us do this. We'll deal much more with lists next week, but what you'll know so far is that there are comma-separated list of items, and we can contain multiple items in a single variable, like this, flavors. And if we want to use lowercase flavors here, that's all good too, as our variable name. So I'd love a volunteer. How could we adapt some example functions that we see in the docs using the random module to actually select one of these flavors at random? That's our goal. Yeah, random dot choice, and then what? Yeah, awesome. I guess if we say, hey, we want to use the choice function provided by the random module, let's consult the docs for how to use that choice function. In a sec, we could consult the docs, but by just looking at this example, I guess what we'll infer is that we could pass in a list of items. In this case, if we pass a list of numbers, this choice function will just give us one of those items at random, whether it's 5 or 7 or 6 in this example of numbers. So now, I guess random choice, Python. Let's consult the docs before we go using this method. Maybe there's some W3 schools stuff to help us out, but I encourage you to consult the official docs of any function that you try to use, just to get a sense of what that function is about. Is there a choice function here for us? The docs are terrible. I guess we can pass in some kind of sequence. I guess we pass in any list and it will return a random element from that list. So these docs aren't the best, but hopefully my examples will help. Let's run this. Let's pass this flavors variable into our choice function coming from the random module. And we'll see that first it returned chocolate. And if we run it again, it did chocolate. Can we get another result? All right, vanilla bean. So this actually does do randomness stuff. So the reason why we spent some time on this is twofold. One, we're practicing using a function that comes from a different part of Python, a library called a module. There are a number of them, including the random module, the statistics module, the date time module. They give us certain capabilities. And if we want to leverage those capabilities, we'll have to first import that module or import the function from there. Once we import the module where this function comes from, we'll invoke the function and it works, and that's great. So now putting this into practice in our function, we have 5 minutes left. Let's see if we could just wrap this up together. We've pretty much done most of it here. So just sharing this in Slack. Heads up. If we have imported the random module once and that random module is in the notebook's memory, we don't have to import that module again. But sometimes you might see me just do multiple imports so you know, hey, we can't use this random.choice until we first import the random module. Hope that makes sense. All right, so now let's put this into practice in our custom functions exercise. Let's take this variable called flavors and write a function to print this kind of message, come to our ice cream shop now serving, and then whatever the name of the flavor is. Let's do this together in real time. Maybe seeing if we could print this will be a good first step, and then later we could wrap it up into a reusable function. So at this time, let's just try to print. Come to our ice cream shop, now serving, and then we'll have to represent one of these flavors at random. So I love to call on some volunteers. You don't have to know all of where we're going, but if you think you know our next step, I'd love to hear from you. We have about 2 minutes left.
Print from the ice cream shop, not serving X.
Yeah, like let's just print some kind of message, come to our ice cream shop, now serving X. That's a good way to start. All right, and we could surely print that. Okay, cool. So we have the baseline of our printed message. So now how could we kind of decouple this X from something else? Yeah,
Yes, but in the space after the film.
yeah,
Plus the outside of the parentheses,
yeah,
and then the space, in parentheses, whatever the flavors are.
awesome. I think that's it. Well, uh-oh, name error, random is not defined. We'll see this error a lot. Why are we seeing this error? We know we're trying to use a choice function from the random module. We saw that it worked, but when we try to do it here, we're getting some kind of error. The name random is not defined. What do we need to do here? Import random, right? In order to use this, we just have to import that functionality first. And that is what will help us get by this kind of error, a name error. Okay, great. Now with this in place, that's it. Come to our ice cream shop, now serving strawberry, now serving strawberry, now serving strawberry, now serving vanilla bean. Okay, great. So this vanilla bean is lowercase though. Does anyone know how we'll uppercase it?
Dot upper at the end of that.
Yeah, dot upper. Since we have a string here, we know that we can invoke some kind of string casing methods on it, like upper. So if we want to start breaking those up into multiple steps, like this is the selected flavor. And we can just make that a separate variable. Selected flavor equals this. And now maybe we can say dot upper here. Come to our ice cream shop, now serving strawberry, now serving vanilla bean. Awesome. Now, final thing we do, last minute, how can we wrap this up inside a custom?
Then we do the indent and top of that.
That's it. Perfect. Just like that. I guess we'll bring this in too. All right. So this was us taking advantage of some random capabilities, practicing functions, learning how to use functions that come from modules, and practicing specifically with the random choice function that you'll use in your rock, paper, scissors game. All right. Peace out, everyone.